referral. Application ZC 23-30, Simsbury Historical Society owner, Robert Moody applicant for a site plan amendment pursuant to section 11 for an approximately 360 square foot blacksmith shop at 800 Hot Meadow Street. Take it away, Bob.
And I'll refer to Dagny Griswold, who's the project manager.
Okay,
I'm
great.
here for moral support in face of the crowd. and the cheer around, so Dagny.
Okay, great. Welcome, Dagny.
Thank you. Well, I assume you all have maps and so there's a map that's from your GIS that shows the basic location, and we have to first identify the septic.
And is this, because I remember thinking it was closer to Ellsworth, so that's,
This is, well,
this is
I
verified.
read dashed lines. I have
Okay.
the official map, you know. Here,
Okay,
but that
yeah.
was my
No, I was just surprised when I looked. I had always thought of it as
I can pull up
about
the site plan
closer.
for everybody, just one that we drew, so we.
That, right,
Yeah.
right. That's the, I believe it was Emil Dahlquist who did our
Was when we did,
official site plans. He's no longer with us.
right, we did a charrette for the use of the property back when I used to be involved with the board. I am no longer with the Historical Society, but we did do a charrette for planning future projects. Blacksmith shop was one of the things we talked about, but that was, Emil was on the board at that time and drew up this site plan.
So he's a professional architect, site planner. We don't have him with us to do these freebies for us now. So I took an old plan that he had and I drew a little bread box as close as I could using, measuring tools and setbacks.
Yeah.
So are you all familiar? I know you're.
I am. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I keep interrupting you.
Are the rest of you familiar with the Historical Society site?
Yes.
You've been there. So, in other words, you pull into the parking lot, which is well defined there, and it's well below the septic. We had to identify that first.
Yeah, I'm surprised we
And so that-
thought it was right next to it.
And my red lines here extend farther than it actually is, so.
Oh,
But it's approximate, so that we had to make sure that we would have a 10-foot distance between the septic field and the building. So we've taken care of that. Then I discovered also that there is a drainage pipe. Now, the building, the toilets are in this corner of Ellsworth, and you go down 4 steps, so it's 7 inches a step, 28. So the whole piping system is at least 30 to 36 inches below grade. So we're not gonna hit anything. And so then we went back and forth about, well, the design is based on country carpenters that have post and beam built. And so we just copied this page, which shows a little cabin that's 12 by 20. But we decided we should enclose the porch so that the footprint is 12 by 18 for inside. And I believe you must have gotten a copy of the sketches that I drew, and we'll be getting professional, these type of sketches that I did. We've already got a contract with Country Carpenters, had to lock in a price in April before they went up 13%, but now we have to make sure we have approvals, and, now who did that?
I found that
You
through
found
Country
it?
Carpenters.
Oh, okay.
It was a rendering for Historical Society.
Okay, because they haven't given that to us yet.
Oh.
Good for you. So anyway, that is, what color it's gonna be, we haven't decided. If we're keeping it a light color or painting it barn red, we'll decide that later. And I would have preferred metal roof, but if it's gonna be too expensive, we may end up just doing shingle roof, which is what they're showing. We have the floor plan, I believe you also have a copy of, that shows one corner is the forge area. this one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a 20-foot wide building, and you have the posts at the corners and there'll be one post in the middle, which, so we're gonna have it basically be the forage area in one corner, and we are combining funds from, somebody has given us funds designated for blacksmith shop, but it wasn't enough to do the project, so there are funds designated for Indigenous American exhibits, so we're gonna do it half and half, and have like, think of Stone Age, Iron Age, like comparing that they had tools, that what the early Americans used, stone, bone, wood, compared to iron and metal type, and we're gonna have plaques describing the history and maybe the Longfellow poem under the spreading chestnut tree, the blacksmith, the smithy stands, if you remember that from your past. So the idea is we're combining funds and the exhibits within the building, and the way I designed was that you would have a 5-foot wide entry in what would have been in the enclosed porch area. And the roof is a little lower there. So I want the high ceiling over the forage area where it's gonna be hot. When, the few times that they're actually gonna do forage work there. There's also the option to do it outdoors, because we have a portable forage. So, but this gives more ventilation to have 2 doors, and the way, if you have a group of people coming for an exhibit, they can come in, one door, go down, look at things, and go out the other door.
Okay. And will there be a ramp at the 5-foot entrance as well? I know accessibility has been a particular challenge dealing with so many older buildings. Will this be more accessible?
It's going to be just as accessible as driving your car into a garage.
Ground level.
Oh,
Great.
I
So
know
we
that's been a hard
changed it from
challenge.
a wood floor with handicap ramps going up. I said, if you're having a forage, how about a concrete floor? No, that's more expensive. So we're waiting for cost estimates, and I don't know if anyone knows, there's a Chuck Constable who used to work with Simsbury Echo, and he knows Henry Niga very well. He's been talking to him about what's required for this. So, a building less than 60 square feet under building code does not require 4-foot deep frost walls. So it can be like a garage where you have a concrete floor, then on top of it, you create what's called a stem wall, 8 inches high, that goes around the perimeter that you put the wood on. But then you can notch out where the doors are. Because without notching out for the doors, the loft area is shorter height than the rest of it. We needed to add a little height, so you notch into the sill wall for the doors. And that way, it's like a garage, you just drive right in.
Great.
And a wheelchair can just go right in and
Excellent.
out the other door and not need a ramp.
Great. Well, that'll let down on some of the visual exterior clutter that I know would be more the purview of this board than more technical engineering stuff from zoning. I'm going to let other members of the board ask questions if you have some. Want to start, Jolene?
so I wanted to ask about the outside landscaping. Will you be continuing? Like, I know you've got some pollinator gardens. Are you going
Well, the
to?
pollinator garden is now near Phelps Lane,
Mhm.
behind Hendrick's Cottage.
Okay.
And that's it's not like the other gardens aren't also pollinators.
Right.
You know, but that we designated as a pollinator garden.
Okay. So this,
This what we haven't done any fancy design for landscape.
you're not there yet.
We
Okay.
we will see how it all fits, and we have the garden club doing all kinds of things.
I was gonna say,
on
the
our
garden clubs
property.
will territorially decide who
Well,
wants
you know,
what.
it will probably be fairly simple.
Mhm.
Whatever.
So the building itself is not necessarily historical, but it's from the right time period, a
Well,
reproduction.
the idea is the post and
inside.
beam is a better quality building
Okay.
and looks more, I looked at less expensive, there's a barnyard guys who, they truck things up from Pennsylvania. So therefore they can't be wider than what you could put on the road, 12, max 14 feet wide, and can't be taller than what can go under bridges. And it's less expensive, cheaper looking 2x4s. You see stamped stuff on the plywood. It's not as nice. And so it's not, we have some obviously historic buildings. We have the meeting house built in 1970 to be a
I was here for
reproduction.
that.
You were involved with that?
No, I was here. I was a child.
Oh.
But I always, that year really stands out
Okay.
in people's minds with the
Well,
meeting
because you know the
house.
town was founded, it's right on the
Right.
plaque there,
Centenary.
1670. So that was the 300th anniversary.
Mhm.
Now soon we're gonna come up with another anniversary in 2025 that has to do with not Simsbury's founding, but the nation's founding and other. So it would be nice to have this done by then. But it's the only, I've been told, we're not gonna put any more buildings ever on the site after this, that's enough. And keep the open green, that's closer to Hop Meadow. But this, for fire code, we were told, stay 20 feet away from other buildings. And if we do an outdoor exhibit, and we've done one of those some years ago, and I was recently in Essex and watched a blacksmith do an exhibit. He has some cheap little propane-fired forge.
Mhm.
But then he's out there with an anvil banging on pieces of metal and telling a story of what, blacksmiths were doing, and they were needed on the whaling ships and going out to farms with shoeing horses or making stuff. So they had blacksmiths that went on the road and didn't just do it in one place. So we had the ability to have a more historic display in the building that looks like the more antique forge where you threw coal and not have some cheap modern propane thing. But we also have one that can then be portable and go out on the lawn for some events.
So this isn't necessarily like in our purview thing, but I'm curious about I love that you're doing the prehistoric indigenous people right next door and leading into this. Is there a time period for the blacksmith shop that you're targeting, or is it blacksmithing through the ages in the Simsbury area?
Probably more through the ages.
Through the ages.
Because people are still doing it,
Okay,
today.
yeah.
And they're making reproduction hinges for doors or
Mhm.
other things.
Okay.
But the last time, maybe there was an active, back in the 50s, there were more of them. This kind of died out. But I mean, they exist now in museums. Like if you go to Mystic Seaport, there's one there. But during COVID, they.
All right, we're gonna keep it moving. Anka, do you have any questions?
I'm sure you put a lot of effort and a lot of thinking into it, and I'm sure it will be a very nice building in the end. You will make it, at least inside, as authentic as possible with all the artifacts that you can gather, you know, and considering, you
We're
know.
gonna hang things for
Yeah,
display.
exactly. Again, and considering, you know, the budget and all the limitations that you have. The outside, I'm sure, will age beautifully. I'm not.
We'll have to decide about painting.
Yeah. And also, overall, I do hope that, who knows, you might find a real artisan who might use the space consistently and actually produce something.
Yes.
As you said, it's a huge variety of metal objects that can be still made these days.
Yes.
And that might be a nice space, especially, you know, if you offer all the options, and it will be fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
we
it's a
could-
great idea, and I wish you all the good
Use
luck.
it.
Yeah.
To make
Yeah.
things.
Okay.
But, or also, we've found people who can come and tell the history and do a demonstration.
Yeah.
So is there like a fireplace or something? And like a chimney involved in this or no?
Okay, so I erased from my drawings the chimney, because we haven't decided where it's gonna be. But yes, people today who are putting in wood burning stoves do the same thing. They put the pipe up through the roof. It's better draw if it's straight up. Some of these that we've seen go horizontally or on a diagonal through the wall and up outside. We've been discussing those two options.
So it's going to be kind of like a wood stove type of fireplace? Okay.
But it's a metal forge. We have one that we've already bought. That's about this wide. The portable one is more like this size, like a Weber kind of. But the idea is, yes, that we're gonna vent it, but we have old-fashioned bellows that
Yeah.
could be used, or we have other systems that you crank. So we're working on which pieces then.
And then you'll build that up like a chimney, or you're just thinking it's going to
It's
look
a
like more like a
round
sugar house where it's like metal just coming out, like a sugar house. Okay.
It's a
Just a
round
pipe.
metal pipe.
And you're not going to
And
enclose
You can do a
that.
double pipe, so the outer pipe doesn't get on. It's the inner pipe.
But are you going to enclose that? Like if that goes out through the outside, are you going to enclose it with something, or is it just going to be a metal pipe sticking out and
It's gonna
coming
be a
out?
metal pipe sticking
Okay.
out with a little cap on it.
Yep. Okay. Above the roof line.
Well, it has
It's gonna have to
I
be-
think 4 feet.
Yeah, it's going to have to come up above. Yeah, so they're not, okay, so that's, none of that's shown and we don't know where that's going on the
Right,
building.
we're working on which design do we want.
And then what about, like, do you need any other doors? Like, are they gonna be using this in the summer at all? Like, do you need airflow? Like, I'm just looking, like, you got the double doors, would you wanna put in another
We
set?
have windows that
The windows will open. And then my last comment is, like, if you look at this rendering, just so that you're aware, and you look at your drawing here, the windows are like divided across the center on this drawing. And if that's really their rendering, they've centered the windows in the bays, and it looks better like this. So you might want to, I don't know if that's possible, but you might want to work with them on that to make. I know, I'm just saying, just so
No,
that could
they're
get
going-
missed when you talk to them, so I'm just telling you, if they're able to do it this way, where you've got like equal spacing, 5 feet, 5 feet, 5 feet with windows between, I think that looks nicer, and what they're doing is centering the windows on the bays between the columns, and they might think that that's what they're supposed to do, so it's just a point to make. However it ends up, but if you like it, I think it looks nicer even.
The post 6-inch
Mhm.
beams.
Mhm. Yeah.
And the way, and I went back to look at and took more pictures. They have horizontal pieces, they call them verts, and then they have the vertical posts. Then you have the main supports at the corners and one in the middle.
Yep.
And then you have, where you want a window, they do a special frame out and maybe change where the horizontal pieces are. And yeah, I drew mine because I thought it was more aesthetic,
Mhm.
centered.
Yeah, I like that
That's our-
better.
our-
It looks a little,
I haven't seen that
Right.
one. I
Right.
think they just
Yeah.
did something, but we're going to, I'm waiting for some more cost estimates.
Okay.
To pin it down before I commit to spending my next dollar on the committing to the CAD drawings. And so they do professional CAD drawings that we then, will, before they start cutting any wood, and that we then take to the building department.
Hey, George, do we need to do a referral today? It sounds like there's a couple design elements like the color, the chimney placement,
It's gonna be, of course, that's always up to you. They are going to the zoning commission in about an hour.
Yeah, and I don't want
We
to,
would hope for approval at that time, but that is your,
what do?
and I would ask, you might wanna ask the applicant
I'm
of their.
okay with it. Yeah, it's not, I'm not worried. I mean, I'm worried
Yeah.
about it for them, but I'm not worried about
Yeah.
it from a design perspective.
Yeah.
And I'm only telling you about the 5-foot thing because I know when these companies do this, someone looked at that and they were like, oh, I'm putting the windows in the middle. And I'm just telling you, when you cross-reference, it looks better the way you drew it. So you should tell them it's not the same. Because somebody might not realize it's not the same.
Okay,
That's all.
Yes.
I think we'll just trust you on the color. I'm gonna assume you're not gonna be completely off beam on that.
Pink.
Victoria,
It won't be for the rest.
I think it seems nice.
Okay,
It could be barn red, or it could be tan.
can I get a motion for a positive referral to zoning for application ZC 23-30 of Simsbury Historical Society for a site plan amendment to pursuant to section 11 for a approximately 360 square foot blacksmith shop at 800 Hot Meadow Street?
Move. Oh, go ahead, Jolene. You can move it.
I motion to approve with a positive recommendation application CZ number 23 through 30 of Simsbury Historical Society for a site plan amendment pursuant to section 11 for a 360 square foot blacksmith shop at 800 Hot Meadow Street.
Kate, you want to
Second.
take that second since you were on it as well? Okay, very good. You've got your positive referral for us. Good luck with zoning this evening.
If you want to come later and give us
Thank you for the
hints,
visual.
come join us before we paint it or.
All right, our next item on the agenda is approval of minutes from our June 21st special meeting. I believe we were all here except for with the exception of Anka. Have Kate and Jolene, have you had a chance to review any edits, or are we ready to take a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
No edits for me.
You good? Yep. All right, I will accept a motion I will move to accept the minutes. I can do that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're good. Any general commission business, George, for us?
I don't have anything for you.
Okay, well, there's only one motion left to make.
Move to adjourn.
There you go.
Aye.
Yeah, you know. All right, we're in.